Hello. Thank you for coming back. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I am so glad you've joined us. Today, I want to tell you a story about a creature that is perhaps the most familiar to humankind, the dog. If you have ever raised a dog or simply watched one passing on the street, you have likely noticed one thing. They look you right in the eye. In the wild, animals rarely do this, as a fixed stare usually carries a message of threat, scrutiny, or an impending attack. But dogs are different. They look at you when they are hungry. They look at you when they are confused, and sometimes they look just to know you are still there. Why are dogs like this? The answer does not lie in the present, but rather it is buried in the bone-chilling nights of some 40,000 years ago. 40,000 years ago, the earth froze over in an ice age. Biting winds howled across desolate plains, driving nomadic human tribes into huddled, shivering groups. Clad in rough animal skins, they moved relentlessly across the dead landscapes to hunt and gather, with no permanent place to call home. The only thing that chased away the freezing dark of night was the flickering warmth of their campfires. And surrounding them, lurking in the shadowy forests and across the icy expanses, were packs of grey wolves. These were the most distant ancestors of the dog. The wolves of that era were far larger than modern dogs, possessing massive skeletal frames, broad chests, rippling muscles, and razor-sharp fangs. They lived in packs governed by iron discipline, working together to bring down colossal prey like moose and bison. In the beginning, humans and wolves were bitter rivals, hunting the same prey, equally desperate for fresh meat to survive the endless winter. They maintained a cautious, fearful distance. If a human stepped forward, the wolf retreated. If a wolf prowled too close, humans would swing flaming branches to drive it away. As night fell, humanity gathered around the comforting fire, while the wolf pack stood afar, their eyes reflecting the dancing flames in the deep dark. But in the natural world, no two individuals are exactly alike. Within any wolf pack, there were always those with distinct personalities, the aggressive, the timid, and those who harbored a little less fear of the unknown. A few wolves began to realize a harsh truth. Hunting in the wild burned immense energy and carried too much risk. Prey fought back. Wolves could be severely injured, and the bitter cold of winter was slowly strangling their fragile food supply. Yet right nearby, there was an easier source of sustenance, the perimeters of human camps. Humans ate meat, discarding massive marrow bones and indigestible organs. The scent of charred fat and meat scraps lingered on the wind. The boldest among them began to close the distance, pacing very slowly, heads bowed low. They didn't charge in to attack. Instead, they waited silently for the humans to fall asleep. When the flames dwindled to embers, they crept closer, scavenging the scraps scattered on the earth. This minuscule shift in behavior would ultimately alter the entire course of history. They stopped hunting and turned to cleaning up leftovers, quietly trailing the hunter-gatherer bands day after day, month after month. Thousands of years drifted by. As humans migrated, the wolves followed. Over countless generations, the biology of these emboldened wolves began to transform, adapting to their newfound way of life. When a creature no longer has to hunt frantically or face constant peril, its body self-corrects. The adrenal glands, which produce the stress hormone adrenaline, began to shrink. Their aggressive nature significantly faded. Jaw muscles altered, canines shortened, and bite force weakened, while molars flattened out to chew food scraps instead of tearing raw flesh. Their skulls shrank by roughly 20% compared to their wild ancestors. Brain size decreased, particularly in the regions responsible for hypervigilance. They simply didn't need a brain that burns so much energy on fear and survival anymore, because the environment around humans was safe enough. This is a verified biological phenomenon known as domestication syndrome. When aggression vanishes, physical appearance transforms. Shifts in melanin replaced uniform grey coats with spotted brindle patterns. Cartilage softened, causing their once rigid, alert ears to flop down gently. Tail joints curled upward rather than hanging low to the ground. And a few individuals, for the very first time, began to let out short barks. Nature had selected for docility. Then everything took a massive step forward. The relationship evolved beyond mere scavenging, as humans soon realized the practical benefits of these creatures. Human eyes might be sharp during the day, but when night falls, we are essentially blind. In contrast, these semi-wild dogs possessed incredible hearing and a highly attuned sense of smell. At night, when the human camp plunged into a defenseless sleep, giant predators like cave lions and dark bears began to prowl. But with the dogs present, their noses caught the scent of danger from afar. Their ears pricked up and they barked fiercely. That echoing bark tearing through the night was the ultimate early warning system. Humans jolted awake, grabbing their weapons. Lives were saved. Humans began to directly offer them food. They no longer tossed bones far away. Holding pieces of meat in their hands, they called out. The dogs stepped forward, took the food, and the most docile among them officially entered the light of the fire. They lay down on the ground. The humans did not chase them away. The air between the two species was completely drained of hostility. It was a prolonged, drifting moment in history. No treaty was signed. No one picked a specific day to decide upon domestication. It all unfolded so naturally and so slowly that the people living in that era never even realized they were co-creating a brand new species. Later, dogs joined humans on the hunt. Humans had weapons, spears, and the intellect to set traps. Dogs had speed, endurance, and a guiding nose. Across the snowy plains, dogs dashed ahead, snouts to the ground, tracking reindeer herds, driving the prey toward the waiting spears. They shared the spoils, surviving the longest winters of the Ice Age, side by side. Traces of this bond still rest deep beneath the earth.
In the Bonn-Oberkassel region of Germany, archaeologists unearthed a grave over 14,000 years old. It held the remains of an older man, a younger woman, and the bones of a dog. Analysis revealed this dog had been severely ill for months before it died. Its teeth had fallen out, it couldn't forage, nor could it chew tough meat. It had completely lost its working value. Yet it survived for months because the humans chewed its food to soften it, wiped its mouth with clean water, and tenderly cared for it. And when it finally drew its last breath, they buried it with their family, placing bone spears nearby and sprinkling the grave with sacred red ochre. Without anyone noticing exactly when, it had ceased to be a tool of survival. It had become a member of the family.
As the ice melted and the climate warmed, the world was reborn. Humans abandoned their nomadic lives, seeking out fertile valleys to lay foundations and build homes. The agricultural revolution erupted. They began sowing seeds and domesticating sheep, goats, and cattle. Dogs were not left behind in this great leap. Their roles shifted according to human needs, evolving from hunters to protectors and herders. They ran circles around massive flocks of sheep, barking to steer them in the right direction, preventing any from wandering into the deep woods. At night, they lay watch by the fences. At the slightest strange noise, they would stand up, baring their teeth to bravely fend off their own wild brothers, the wolves, just to protect human property. A complete reversal of nature's allegiances. As society grew more complex, dogs found their place in culture and mythology. In ancient Rome, muscular dogs guarded temples and protected granaries, while smaller dogs became companions to the nobility. In the ruins of Pompeii, buried under volcanic ash, a floor mosaic was found right at the entrance of a home. A black dog, muscles tense, fangs bared, with the red inscription Cave Canem, beware of the dog, an ancient warning to thieves. In Egypt, dogs held a divine status, serving as a bridge between life and the afterlife. Anubis, the god of the underworld, who oversaw mummification and guided souls, bear the form of a man with the head of a jackal. Dogs were so revered that when a household dog passed away, the entire family would shave their eyebrows in mourning. They were carefully mummified, wrapped in pristine white linen, and laid to rest in massive cemeteries dedicated entirely to animals. As humans marched across the globe to conquer new continents, dogs followed in their footsteps. This expansion birthed an unprecedented biological diversity. When the first bands of humans crossed the frozen Bering Strait into North America, their dogs took long strides alongside them over the cracking ice. When Austronesian explorers navigated the Pacific Ocean in fragile dugout canoes in search of new lands, dogs sat quietly at the bow, tilting their noses to catch the sea breeze. Forced to survive in extreme new climates and guided by human selective breeding, their physical appearances mutated at a dizzying pace. In the freezing extremes of the north, like Siberia or Alaska, where biting winds chill to the bone and snow blankets the earth year-round, sled dogs were born. Their fur grew dense in 2 layers, an insulating undercoat and a water-resistant outer layer. Their frames expanded, chests broadened, and paws grew wide and flat to keep from sinking into the powder. Harnessed in leather, they worked in rhythmic unison, pulling sleds loaded with food and firewood across thousands of miles of white snow.
Conversely, under the scorching sun of the African and Middle Eastern deserts, humans bred dogs to chase down hares and antelopes. Their fur shortened, clinging tight to their skin to dissipate heat instantly. Their legs lengthened, their torsos narrowed, but their chest cavities deepened to house massive lungs. Pumping maximum oxygen into their blood, they shot across the flat sand like arrows, eyes locked on the target ahead. Speed was a matter of survival. On the sprawling farms of Europe, when rodent infestations broke out, breeders created the terrier. With long tubular bodies, short but incredibly sturdy legs, flexible shoulder joints and pointed snouts, they easily squeezed into narrow fox dens underground or wove through haystacks to catch mice. And in marshlands, water retrievers developed webbed toes for swimming and incredibly soft mouths to carry fallen birds back without crushing the meat. The relentless intervention of humans over centuries molded hundreds of distinct breeds. No mammal on Earth possesses such a staggering diversity in physical form, from snowy mountain giants as heavy as a grown man to tiny creatures that fit in the palm of your hand or slip perfectly into an overcoat pocket. They differ in size, coat color, snout length, and ear shape. But beneath that exterior, their ancestral DNA remains completely intact. The genetic distance between a tiny toy dog and a ferocious Arctic grey wolf is infinitesimally small. All of them stepped out of the shadows from those ancient wolves who timidly approached the fire so long ago.
All of them stepped out of the shadows from those ancient wolves who timidly approached the fire so long ago. Time drifts back to the present. Our story slows down here. You don't need to go anywhere else, as everything begins to pull inward. Today, the vast majority of dogs around the world no longer endure grueling labor. The rise of machinery and modern society has liberated them from almost all duties of survival. They no longer chase prey through deep forests. They don't haul sleds over snow, nor do they stay awake all night tearing at wild beasts to guard the sheep. Tractors have replaced sleds. Electric fences and cameras have taken over security, and food is always ready in packaged bags. Now they live indoors, strolling slowly on the sidewalks, lounging on soft wool rugs, and dozing off on the sofa every afternoon. It is estimated that there are about 900 million dogs on this planet. 900 million. A small fraction serve as police dogs, rescue workers, or guides for the blind. But the vast, overwhelming majority simply play the role of a quiet companion in our homes. Time drifts back to the present. Our story slows down here. You don't need to go anywhere else, as everything begins to pull inward. Today, the vast majority of dogs around the world no longer endure grueling labor. The rise of machinery and modern society has liberated them from almost all duties of survival. They no longer chase prey through deep forests, they don't haul sleds over snow, nor do they stay awake all night tearing at wild beasts to guard the sheep. Tractors have replaced sleds, electric fences and cameras have taken over security, and food is always ready in packaged bags. Now they live indoors, strolling slowly on the sidewalks, lounging on soft wool rugs, and dozing off on the sofa every afternoon. It is estimated that there are about 900 million dogs on this planet. 900 million. A small fraction serve as police dogs, rescue workers, or guides for the blind. But the vast, overwhelming majority simply play the role of a quiet companion in our homes. Their pace of life has slowed down remarkably, stripped of the frantic rush of survival. An average house dog sleeps 12 to 14 hours a day, while older dogs or puppies might sleep up to 18 hours. The rest of their time is spent walking, eating, and mostly observing humans. Their environment is absolutely safe. There are no natural predators. Food bowls are always full in the corner of the kitchen, and fresh water is poured every day. Their only real concern might occasionally be the rumble of thunder outside or a blaring car horn. Their entire orbit now revolves around your repetitive habits. Their biological clock synchronizes with your schedule. They wake when you wake. They stand and watch you tie your shoes, waiting for you to leave for work. The door clicks shut. They will lie still by the threshold, ears perked forward, and they wait. The metallic click of the key turning in the lock after hours of absence becomes the most important sound of their day. That waiting carries no complex anxiety. It is simply pure, transparent anticipation. The metallic click of the key turning in the lock after hours of absence becomes the most important sound of their day. That waiting carries no complex anxiety. It is simply pure, transparent anticipation. There is an incredibly subtle physical detail on the body of a modern dog that explains why we are so deeply attached to them. It isn't their size, it's their eyebrows. Scientist Julianne Kaminsky and her colleagues spent years dissecting and comparing the facial muscle structures of domestic dogs and wild wolves. They discovered something extraordinary. Domestic dogs possess a small muscle located just above the eye socket, the levator anguli oculi medialis. This muscle has only one function: to raise the inner corner of the eyebrow up and toward the center of the forehead. Wild wolves entirely lack this muscle, so their faces constantly maintain a cold, sharp intensity. But dogs have it. When this muscle contracts, it makes the dog's eyes appear larger, exposing more of the sclera, the white of the eye. This creates a timid, pitiful, confused, and dependent expression, looking exactly like the eyes of a human infant. Human biology has been hardwired since primitive times to automatically respond to faces with these traits. When a dog raises its eyebrows, your brain instinctively releases oxytocin. the hormone of bonding and love. Dogs aren't intentionally making that face to manipulate us. They understand nothing of anatomy or behavioral psychology. It is purely the unconscious result of thousands of years of evolution. The dogs that accidentally could raise their eyebrows, that naturally had larger, rounder eyes, captured human attention. They looked more pathetic, so they were tossed more food around the fire. They were chosen to be brought inside to warm up, rather than being left out in the blizzard. Evolution was guided by compassion. Beyond their eyes, their nose is a majestic world-receiving machine. If a human nose has 6 million olfactory receptors, a dog's has up to 300 million, a colossal gap. When we walk into a room, we see a table, a chair. But when a dog walks into a room, they smell a historical tapestry. They can smell who sat on that chair yesterday. They smell the damp earth from the park still lingering on the soles of your shoes. They smell microscopic drops of sweat and can even detect chemical shifts within your body. When you are sad or when you are afraid, your body emits different scent molecules. They know it before you have the chance to say a word. Our world is a world of light and color. Their world is a drifting sea of molecules suspended in the air. Night has fallen. You are lying back in your own room. The lights are out. Now there is only a gentle stillness wrapping around the house. Outside the window, darkness closes in. No rushing engines, no hum of the city, not even the howl of the wind tapping against the glass. Time seems to hold its breath. Somewhere on the floor or under the desk is a dog. It has chosen a spot right next to your bed, the familiar spot of every night. It takes a few sluggish steps. The click-clack of its nails against the wood creates a dry yet soothing rhythm. Its nose gently flares, sniffing the floorboards. Then it turns in a circle. Once, twice, 3 times. The primal instinct from tens of thousands of years ago still sleeps in its veins. The wolf's ritual of trampling down grass and chasing away insects before resting, even though the ground it stands on now is just smooth wood or a plush rug. And then it relaxes its entire body. The 2 front legs slowly lower, folding beneath it. The hindquarters meet the floor. Finally, it leans to one side, curling into a tight oval shape. Its snout rests on its front paws, hind legs tucked close to its belly, and its tail drapes across its body, trapping all the warmth inside.
On the bed, you lie perfectly still, feeling the warmth of the blanket draped over you, your back sinking into the mattress, your head resting on the soft pillow. The dim light from the window casts a long, faint streak across the floor. You close your eyes. Your breathing gradually slows. Up, down, drifting into the exact rhythm of the little soul breathing on the floor. You slightly shift a finger. The cotton fabric of the bedsheet rubs together, creating a microscopic noise, just the faintest rustle. Instantly, the base of its ear swivels slightly toward you. Only a fragment of muscle base of the ear moves. Its eyes remain closed. Its head does not lift. Every other part of its body stays completely paralyzed in sleep. Deep in its subconscious, it analyzes the frequency of that sound and knows it came from you. It knows you are still there. It doesn't need to wake up to check. The safety is absolute. The ear relaxes again, and it sinks even deeper into sleep.
This creature has been here, right beside humanity, since a very distant age, an endless journey spanning tens of thousands of years. They were here before humans knew how to fire clay bricks to build houses, before asphalt roads stretched across continents, before the first characters were carved into clay tablets in Mesopotamia. They followed on our heels through the most punishing eras, through the bone-deep chill of primordial winters, through the blistering heat of the deserts, rocking on wooden ships crossing oceans, quietly witnessing the turning of civilizations. Empires collapsed, cities rose, and wild forests slowly gave way to towering skyscrapers. They have shed nearly all of their wild nature. They traded their hunting speed, traded the freedom of roaming vast plains, traded their brutal strength and ruthless aggression, all for a peaceful life beside the fire, and later beside the hearth on the square rugs inside your home. Today their needs are marvelously simple. They do not hoard possessions. They do not demand complex luxuries. A full meal every day, a bowl of clean water in the corner, a warm spot on the floor to sleep, a few scratches behind the ears, and the presence of someone familiar. That is all it takes. Their existence is straightforward and unguarded. Their minds carry no unnecessary complexities. They live completely in the present moment, never worrying if tomorrow will bring rain or shine, never agonizing over the mistakes of yesterday, never harboring lingering grudges. They are simply here, right now, in this space, breathing steadily.
Do you remember what I mentioned at the beginning about their eyes? The bridge connecting the past to the present. Why a dog looks you straight in the eye, a behavior completely contrary to its wild nature. Now you understand. Evolution altered their facial muscles, gifting them eyebrows to mirror human expressions, learning how to communicate with us. But deep down, the true reason goes far beyond pure biology. They look at you because to them, they are their only anchor. 40,000 years ago, the first wolves emerged from the shadows, staring intently into the blazing fires of humanity in search of warmth, food, and survival. That fire was the absolute center of their new existence. Today, there is no longer a campfire burning in the blizzard. They look at you. You provide the food. You provide the shelter. Humans have become their fire.